everyone, Reaper here again with another video. Happy New Year. I know I haven't been on camera for a little while, and this is a video that I was planning to make a couple of weeks ago, but you know, it was the holidays and I got delayed and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, this is a video that I make every year in some form or another. This year it's going to be the top 10 books that I want to get in 2025. Like I said, this video comes in many different forms. Sometimes it's the top 12 books I want to get or whatever. I'm going to keep it to top 10. All right, so let's start with number 10. What is on the number 10 spot? Atlas pre-code horror books. Over the last couple of years, I've really started to focus on getting some Atlas pre-codes. You know, it was something that I didn't think I was going to get into, but about almost 3.5 years ago, I really started to, think about it, and I slowly got in, and I've been hooked ever since. So, are there Atlas pre-codes that I have in mind? Yeah, there's quite a few I have in mind, but you know how it goes with Atlas pre-codes and some other books. You may not find them. You know, they're not necessarily easy to find, and sometimes not necessarily easy to find in the condition that you want. So for me to put a specific one down in this spot, it may not work out as well. I mean, there are some on this list that are very specific, but there are others that I have floating around in my mind that I hope to get to, and that will fill the number 10 spot. What is in the number 9 spot for the top 10 books I want to get for 2025? Amazing Spider-Man number 10. You would think that, well, that's, out of the early Spider-Man issues, and honestly, there are a few in the top 20. I know the top 20 books in the Amazing Spider-Man set, they tend to be the most valuable, right? Because that's where all the introductions are. The first appearance of Doc Ock, the first appearance of the Green Goblin, and so forth. But number 10, the first appearance of the Enforcers, is kind of like on the lower end of those books. I have a copy. I have a 4.0 copy. I want to upgrade. I know I can upgrade it. I want to get maybe a 6.0. I'm trying to move closer to 6.0s when it comes to the upgrades for my Spider-Man collection. There are going to be a lot of amazing Spider-Man upgrades on this list for 2025. I've mentioned this in previous videos where I was always trying to upgrade my EC books over the years and my X-Men books over the years, and I've done that and I continue to do so. 2025, or at least I hope, is going to be the year of upgrading Spider-Mans, and that will continue, of course, into 2026 and 2027 as I start to nitpick the upgrades. So that's number 10. Excuse me, number 9. Number 8 on the list is The Amazing Spider-Man number 15. Now, first appearance of Kraven the Hunter, second appearance of the Chameleon. Did anyone really think that Kraven the Hunter movie was going to be a hit? Now, I know some people will say, well, I saw it and I liked it, and that's fine. A lot of people felt the same way about the Morbius movie that had come out, and some of the Venom movies. For me, I didn't see Kraven the Hunter, okay? So I can't really give you a good review on it, or even a somewhat competent review on it, but I've seen the Venom movies, and I've seen the Morbius movie, and I think they all sucked. Quite frankly, there's something with the Sony movies, for the most part, without the MCU Kevin Feige sticking his hands in it, without that, those movies are just terrible. I mean, I do not like Venom. I don't like the characterization of Venom in those films. I don't like the story. It's just all boring to me. It's just the same shit over and over again. We can make that argument for many things, but it's so boring. And Morbius, I was trying to get into it. I really was trying to get into it. I'm like, oh, this is just horrible. And so now is a good time to get rid of my 4.0 Amazing Spider-Man 15 and upgrade to a 6.0. And that's number 8. Number 7. Amazing Spider-Man number 5. This book was on my 2024 list. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, sometimes I don't always make it. I don't get everything. I've seen a couple possible ones to get over the last year, but it kind of got pushed to the side for other books that I really wanted and other books that I didn't think I would get that I really wanted, so it got pushed to the side. Hopefully this year I'll be able to get to Amazing Spider-Man number 5. In the last video I showed you, the CGC video, that I got 4 books back from CGC, and then I showed you 5 books that I'm going to be sending out to CGC. One of them was my Amazing Spider-Man number 5, which I believe I said, for those that didn't watch that video, you should go check it out. But for those that don't remember, I said that my copy, it's a raw copy, obviously a raw copy, 2.5 to 3.0. I want to get that in get that graded, and then sell it off and use that to fund a better copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 5. So let's move on to number 6. Number 6 is a couple of other pre-code upgrades. Now you might say, well, wasn't number 10 like Atlas pre-codes? Number 10 was Atlas pre-codes. I should have stressed it back then, that are not currently in my collection, that are not getting upgrades. It's category number 10 is books that I don't have in my collection that are Atlas pre-codes. This one in particular are books that I have in my collection, and it's not limited to Atlas. It could be a bunch of different things that I currently have that I'd like to upgrade, right? So that's number 6. What do we have for number 5? EC upgrades, okay? A lot of upgrades, right? And a lot of, on this list, there are a lot of, nothing specific. I mean, we've had some specific ones, and we'll have more specific ones, but there's a lot of like, well, maybe this, maybe that. So that's why EC precodes, or the last one, precode upgrades, all that stuff. You know, my EC collection has really gotten pretty good over the last few years when it comes to upgrades. I started out with 2.0s, 3.0s, and I said, you know, I'd like to get all 4.0s. Well, now the 4.0s are turning into 6.0s and 7.5s and all that. And that's the beauty of upgrading, as I've said so many times on this channel. There's still a few ECs that I'd like to upgrade. Hopefully I'll maybe to get a couple of them this year, you know. Some of them I have 4.0 copies, maybe raw copies that I'd like to move up to 6.0, and maybe even some 6.0, 6.5s that I'd like to move up to 7.0, 7.5s. So that's what I mean by EC upgrades. All right. Number 4. Amazing Spider-Man number 13. Again, with my last video, the CGC video, books I'm sending to CGC to get upgraded, Amazing Spider-Man number 13 is one of them. I believe I have a 4.0 copy. I'd like to get a 6.0 of that book. And that's an upgrade that I would hopefully get to this year. That's really all I have to say about that. Number 3. A carryover from last year, the Amazing Spider-Man number 3. I have a 3.0 copy. I have it graded. I've said this in previous videos. I was surprised I got a 3.0 on that. You know, it should have been just a little higher in my opinion, but my opinion doesn't matter. What I think doesn't matter. It's just what is. Well, I'd like to get a nice 4.0, maybe a 4.5 copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 3, the first appearance of Dr. Octopus. It's an expensive book, and, you know, it's one of those books that kind of goes against the villain rule. You know, the villain books, for whatever reason, a villain might become popular in a comic arc or in a film, and then after that arc is over, or after the film is out and done with, that book tanks. That happens to, I would say, most comic book villain books. There are some exceptions, of course, and I think Dr. Octopus is one of them. It's just always a pricey book. It's always pricey, and well, hopefully I'll be able to pick one up this year. We'll see what happens. Number 2 on this list. A Astonishing 30. I think this is a great book. I really do. Now, I'm thinking I could get maybe a 3.0 because once you get to the 4.0s of this book, I mean, of course, you never know. But usually when you get to 4.0s, the price is just like, whew, doubles. And I don't know if I necessarily want to pay that kind of money for Astonishing 30, at least at this point in my collecting. Down the line, we'll see what happens. But I would like to get a nice presenting 3.0 and I could be very happy. But I think it's an absolutely exceptional cover by Joe Maneely. And again, like with most of these Atlas pre-codes and even other pre-codes, for many years, it kind of just lingered in obscurity. You know, there were people that knew about it and had it and were happy. But then there were people that just couldn't care less. It was all about getting the Silver Age marvels, and I can understand that. You know, let's be honest. You know, that's always been a little more popular than pre-code horror. But now that these things are out there, there are people on YouTube and Instagram, and there's talk about them and rarity and all these different things. That's when books like Astonishing 30 just like shot right up. So that's number 2 on this list. So what could be number 1 for 2025 for me? What is it? Strange Tales 110. It's another carryover like Amazing Spider-Man 3 and 5 from last year. Those were books that I was unable to get. And you say, well, why would you want to get Doctor Strange? I have a 3.0 copy, and I've always wanted to upgrade. I like to get a 5.0. I'm not opposed to getting a 4.5 if the price is right, but I think I could hold out a little bit. And that's probably the main reason why I didn't get it last year. I mean, it's one of the main reasons. Other books have come up that I got that I thought were a little bit better to get than Strange Tales 110. And, you know, the way things are, the way books have been coming down, you know, I don't want to quickly buy something and then a year later have it go down $500, $600, $700. I mean, you know, that may be something that's a little inevitable over time. You never know. But I would want to try to get the best price that I could possibly get. And that's why I've been kind of holding off on some of the bigger Marvels. Like, eventually I want to get a Tales to Astonish 27 and upgrade that book, and a couple others, of course. I have very intention of doing that. Just like I did with my X-Men #1 last year. Actually in 2023, that's when I upgraded that one. I can't believe it was 2023. And last year with my Daredevil #1, I both got 5.0s on those. Who knows, maybe one day I'll get 6.0s on those. But I do want to add Doctor Strange to the list of moving from low grade into mid grade, and then maybe down the line, years from now, we'll move from mid grade to a higher mid grade and all that sort of stuff. All right. So I hope you enjoyed the list. I'm very interested in seeing in the comments what maybe is the #1 book that you want to get for 2025. Are you even doing stuff like that anymore? Or how successful were you last year in maybe coming up with a little list and being able to check off books on that list for your collection? Be interested to know. Take care, everyone.